Quotation from myself, segment 26, quotation number 272. And when in sorrow I have wept, they told me your tears are much too big for your face and more of the wrong shape. And when in anguish I have cried, they told me your voice is of the wrong timbre, and besides the notes are too high. And when in pain I have bled, they told me your blood isn't red or colorful enough, and bleeding is too fast. Yet none have ever asked me why, had I bled, wept, and cried. Are they afraid to find that out, and to be swept from common grounds of grief by common laments tide? Number 273. To be a wolf, a predator, is repugnant to me. But to be a sheep, a prey, is simply demeaning and humiliating. Of course, there is another alternative, to be a shepherd, a protector. But is he really a protector? In one but most crucial sense, a shepherd is not that different from a wolf, for they both live of the sheep, when a shepherd does it in a more civilized manner. And even of this I am simply incapable. So what else can I be? Number 274. The clarity of thoughts and expression should not be confused with simplicity, especially with its most negative connotation, simplistic. For while the simple by definition is always clear, the clear is not necessarily has to be simple, since what is complicated could and should nevertheless be made clear if understanding is the goal. Quotation number 275. The simplification of a more or less complex idea, provided of course its essence is not distorted in the process, is in itself no more than an expedient in making this idea accessible to more than a narrow circle of the initiated. As such, the simplification of an idea, again, if its substance remains intact, is intrinsically neither bad nor good, but rather neutral. And though the simplification as a device undoubtedly possesses a great enhancing power, it is what is simplified, the idea itself, that matters. The good idea, as for example Judeo-Christian idea of universal brotherhood, made simple so that it can be embraced by many, will, if materialized, bring the greatest good. By the same token, the bad idea, as for example the idea of Aryan superiority over other races proclaimed by the German Nazi, made simple so it is also can be accepted by many, will, if implemented, bring the greatest evil. Number 276. The mundane is both a burden and a support of the everyday existence. Number 277. Democratization of the art is manifested by the ever-increasing, almost exponentially, number of writers, painters, musicians, actors, etc. What is it going to do to the art in general? Will it destroy it by lowering the artistic standard to the lowest common denominator, or, which is even worse, by abolishing the very idea of the need for any standard in order to include everyone who proclaims to be an artist? Or will it cause unprecedented flourishing of art by widening enormously the range from which the best can be chosen. 278. Surprisingly, those who would probably benefit the most by following a good advice not only seldom heed it, but quite often do not even want to listen to anyone telling them what to do. On the contrary, people who are doing just fine by themselves are usually much more open and receptive to the suggestion of the others. These apparent differences in the behavior of just described two types of people could be explained on the one hand by psychological insecurity of the first, caused and continuously reinforced by many failures, and on the other hand the relative self-confidence of the second, as a result of leading more or less successful from their point of view life. And so in general, those who are in need of advice do not listen, and those who listen are not in need, which renders any advice, however good it is, essentially useless. Number 279. There is yet another and probably even worse indignity that can be inflicted on the dead horse besides beating upon it, and that is trying to ride the poor animal. Number 280. A peaceful, dare we say harmonious coexistence of different racial ethnic groups in any society requires the goodwill and the degree of self-confidence, objectivity, and intellectual sophistication the ordinary man, always a majority, are simply incapable of. 281. If people are to be judged not by what they say, but by what they do, then hardly anything is more revealing about a woman than the kind of man she likes, or more telling about a man than the type of woman he chooses. Number 282. The rich and the poor do not only differ economically and socially, which is obvious, but psychologically as well. For the rich in general are pretty much certain about what they want, and what is the most crucial, always seems to know how to get it. Whereas the poor, also in general, are seldom clear as far as their goals and aspirations are concerned, and when on rare occasions they are, never seem to be able to find the proper means to achieve them. Number 283. The inexorable law of life is that what benefits us now will harm us later, and what helps us to survive and to succeed today will eventually be the cause of our failure and destruction tomorrow. 284. Throughout our lives we all, without exception, are continuously getting hurt by the word and action of others. The difference, therefore, between us is not so much in the amount of degree of suffering, though admittedly it could be quite substantial, but in the individual perception of it, and especially in the way each one chooses to react to the wrong done to him. For one always had a choice, either to do to others what had been done to him, and an act of most indiscriminate revenge, or remembering his own pain to commiserate with others, and consequently to try to avoid inflicting the same pain on them. And one's choice depends primarily on whether one holds those others and somehow collectively responsible for his suffering, and views them as the potential enemies who could injure him again, or as his fellow sufferers, having the same miserable life as he has. Yet the choice isn't an easy one to make. In reality, they are both the villains and the victims. Number 285. Sometimes witnessing a discussion when the opponents propound seemingly contrary ideas, I find myself in a rather peculiar state of being in agreement with whoever speaks at the moment, providing of course that both sides sound reasonably informed and appear to be intellectually honest. One possible solution to this somewhat discomforting and unsettling paradox lies in accepting the view that different opinions on the same subject are not always mutually exclusive, but quite often complement each other and thus help to draw a more comprehensive picture. Unfortunately, the spirit of contradiction and competition, which is evidently inherent in any discussion, too often prevent both parties from seeing this otherwise simple and obvious fact. Number 286. We all like those who tell us what we want to hear. And most of the people, most of the time, want to hear what they already know, what they believe in, and what, consequently, in no way disturbs their long-established pattern of thinking, their ideology, philosophy, etc. Bearing this in mind, it is not as difficult to get in good standing with others as it appears to be. One just has to desire to be liked. The skills will come with practice. To some extent, everyone is using this device of telling the other people what they want to hear in order to ingratiate oneself with those one seeks to please. But most of us forever remain just mere dilettantes. Only a few popular politicians or influential religious leader, for example, would develop such skill to perfection. Similarly, friendship can be characterized as an art based on the ability to tell one's friends what they want to hear, and one would usually keep friends for as long as one is willing and able to do so. The moment one, for whatever reason, loses such desire or ability, one invariably loses one's friends. Then it becomes clear that they were friends not with him, her, the way he really is, but simply for another version of themselves. For man, evidently, is psychologically incapable to love anybody but himself or his own reflection in others. Even parental life, the most disinterested one, is based on the love of oneself, for where there are several children in a family, a parent as a rule loves the most the child who also resembles him, her the most.